welcome back to the reboot of Story Punk Podcast. Sorry,
Do you know what show we're on?
Okay, yes. Welcome to the Story Punk Podcast reboot. I am Scott.
I'm Drew.
And we are back from a many-year hiatus. What do we left? 2016.
Yes, I think sometimes things just don't stay dead, and that's appropriate for the movie we're going to talk about today.
So today's episode will be about the movie Sinners. And so without further ado, why don't we jump right into it?
Well, obviously this will be listened to for years, so I'll just say Sinners came out earlier this year in 2025, and it's a big hit movie, and I think for the general public, kind of an unexpected hit. I didn't really know much about it, but it's about two brothers played by Michael B. Jordan. They come home to Mississippi, to Clarksdale, Mississippi, where the blues were born. They want to open a club, and then some really unusual stuff happens, and it's all pretty much bad. And that is the simple structure of the movie, and I'm really looking forward to discussing it with you, Scott.
I as well. So when it comes to the sort of, if I was just like thinking about the theme for this movie and thinking about like, I mean, because I think that it's very, this is something that we were discussing right before we started the podcast about how
Spoilers.
Yo, yes.
Excuse
we
me.
probably should talk about that we will have spoilers in here. Probably not as much in the beginning, but as we get further into the weeds of the discussion, we will be talking about things that will
And also
ruin the movie.
You should see the movie anyway.
Yes, you should see the movie. But I think it has a lot to do with sort of the central theme of cultural identity, and also how a community bonds in the face of systemic oppression, outside threats, and how they come together and work together to sort of address those issues, which you wouldn't think from a horror movie set in the 1930s, maybe. But,
Well, the title is pretty innocuous,
yes.
And the movie is literally ultimately pretty fiery.
Yeah.
And so, because I remember the sort of least interesting
spoilers.
thing about it. Yeah. The least interesting thing about it when I started to see the ads is like the title would come up and I was like, oh, right, that's what it's called. Like,
I actually had no desire, based on the title, I had no desire to watch the trailer. Like, oh, it's this new movie, Sinners. I didn't know that it had to do with, there was a horror element to it. I mean, I figured there might be, but Sinners is kind of like, I thought maybe it might... might have some kind of exorcism.
I mean, look, I got sold on it by the director, the cast.
Well, that's true.
I mean, Ryan Coogler, this is only his 5th feature film.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's done gigantic Marvel movies.
Yes.
And he's done most or all of his movies, I guess all of his movies with Michael B. Jordan, not necessarily as the lead.
Yeah.
But, the two of them, please keep making movies.
That's his,
together.
That is his guy. I mean, you have these... directors that sort of have their muse. You have De Niro for Scorsese and Denzel with Spike Lee, and I know there's more out there, but
well, if you think any, you can record them and cut them in.
Sure, I will cut them in.
Oh,
I'll do it in a robot
also
voice.
think that this actor is of this director, and you can just
I'll definitely do it in a robot voice.
Absolutely.
So
pairing.
But that's sort of where I was, that's sort of what I was feeling, the theme that was coming through for me. The writing in this movie is amazing. Just as someone that kind of geeks out on all of that, I felt like there's very little fat, no meandering monologues or like aside scenes where you go like, why was that there?
The movie moves.
Yes.
Which is great.
There's definitely I mean, it is, I hate that term slow burn. But it's a little bit because I mean, you're it does sort of follow that Jaws format where it's like, you're not seeing the, sort of the horror part until much later into the movie.
Right.
So it spends its time, in that sort of that, character work where you understand, really who these people are, where they're coming from. But I don't feel like you ever, it's done in a very interesting way. So you don't ever feel like I never felt like there was a situation where I was like, come on guys, let's go.
Yeah. No, I was never bored or taken out of it, and I genuinely was like, I don't know where this is going to go, and that's always a nice feeling for a movie. I also I knew what the horror element was before I saw the movie, but I have discovered as I've gotten older and don't remember as much stuff anyway. It's kind of fun to not know everything about a movie before you see the movie, and this movie had such really wonderful surprises in it for me that I really enjoyed that. So
I mean, I have to say, it's one of the things that I understand. Trailers are trying to get butts in the seats in the theater, but I really hate. There's a few things that they show in the trailer that I just feel like it would have been better if they hadn't done. One of the big things, and here's a decent sized spoiler, is that Haley Steinfeld becomes a vampire, and they show that in multiple versions of the trailer.
Yeah,
that would have been such a better, like, I mean, I think you kind of figured that's where it's going when there's the scene where she leaves the club to go talk to
the juke joint.
Yeah, the juke joint, and you kind of know that's coming. I mean, or you figure it is, but it would have been so much better if you were kind of like, maybe, it just was. I was kind of disappointed that was kind of because I saw that trailer,
Right,
and it's kind of unmistakable. She's got blood all over her face, and she says they're going to kill everybody, and so it's like, wow, why would you put that scene in there? I feel like there was enough that they could have done. If you wanted to sell people on the horror element, you could have certainly left that out.
On the other hand, they set up before any of the vampires appear in the movie, they set up some stuff that is not only within the world of the movie that these characters believe supernatural type of things, talking about the magic and charms and protections and stuff. And also, and we'll talk about it, there's obviously there's one centerpiece scene of the movie, if not the first half of the movie, that is literally about time and people's blending together, and that is just stunning. But I think sometimes movies go out of their way to explain, like, basically this is the real world, but also, oh wow, the magic is real. This is just part of the world. Yeah. And some of the stuff, the ending of one of Michael B. Jordan's characters is so naturally almost mystical and perfect and beautiful. No part of me felt taken out of it. Like, this is a horror movie. This isn't a touching movie. Like, it's all these different things at once, and the magic, I think, is part of that. Yeah, yeah. I think it's part of that.
I you have to also say that this does have one of my. I do love the, and I don't know if I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit here, but I do love the hive mind trope in movies. I just do, because I feel like it's almost insurmountable obstacle that protagonist has to overcome in a movie, and it was just sort of like, and it plays.
You mean like how they have to win by?
Well, just like if the protagonist has to go up against an antagonist that's sort of like part of like a hive mind.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I mean, the fact that it's in this movie, that's the point.
Yeah.
Well, that you absorb and get assimilated and all that.
But
I
do kind of, and while that's it's even better when it ties into the theme. That's why it always annoys me when people kind of they confuse tropes for cliches, because I feel like a trope done well is good, and when a trope done bad, that's when it becomes a cliche.
Right. I mean, a formula is a formula for a reason, and that's because it's effective. And you can execute the formula poorly, or you can execute it expertly. And if you just think about, I don't know if you remember, but there was an era where a television show used to mean a story, and then next week another story.
Yes.
There wasn't a connection.
The
classic example I always think of, and from when I was growing up, of course there's older examples of this, is Law and Order.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very strict structure, and you know what to expect, and you know that the first guy they interrogate 11 minutes in didn't do it. But what is he going to do? Is he going to pop open
There's always that twist.
Well, but is he going to pop open where the story's really going? Is he really a red herring? All this kind of stuff. And you just lean forward because you want to know. But there's no surprises in how the story is told.
Yeah.
And, vampire movies have their own set of tropes and things like that. And we could both think of a lot of examples of which ones worked and which ones didn't, and that kind of stuff. Not just in our opinion, but generally, like, that movie is a hit because it works, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's another Dracula movie coming out. There's a movie coming out about Van Helsing's children.
Really?
In 1915 in the Old West or something. I mean, like there's just constantly stuff to mind, which is what I really liked about this movie, which I remember it was a vampire movie after about 45 minutes. It was about a lot of other stuff, and also I didn't need it to be like, we'll talk when I want to talk about the first half of the movie. There's so much stuff in the first half of the movie before the vampires really show up and affect the characters that I was fine that the vampires showed up, but I didn't need them to show up before I was already having a great time.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I did think that about the movie. And actually I did want to, but before we kind of move on to sort of expand on that point, I do feel like I should address the people that talk about how this is like, how much this supposedly owes to Dusk Till Dawn. I don't get that. I don't get that, other than the fact that you have you have a club, and you have vampires, and you have brothers, and that's it. I mean, really, the story is completely and then there's a shift.
Well, I was gonna say that's the trope. That's the formula, is that, the movie is suddenly different than what you expected. And I mean, the ultimate example, my cat keeps pushing the microphone away from me, so I apologize if my sound changes a little bit. The ultimate movie example I think of for that is, of course, Psycho.
Yes.
Because that's a movie that the main character definitively exits the movie.
Yeah.
And a character that you already have feelings about that are probably not positive is suddenly the protagonist. And that big switch from when you are excited that that your main character, that Janet Leigh's character, is going to do the right thing and go back to Phoenix and get everything sorted out and pay the consequences for what she's done. By minutes later, she's dead.
Yeah.
Spoiler. And Anthony Perkins puts her body in that car and puts it in the water, and the car sinks. And when the car suddenly stops, you go along with him, because you're worried that the body of the person you just spent 45 minutes caring about might be found.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. But that's the big switch. And I mean, From Dusk Till Dawn it's like trashy fun, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But,
me too.
But this is just not, it's just not like that. I mean, I know someone who actually got to see A Beautiful Mind and had no idea that all these characters that were interacting with Russell Crowe were his delusions. So to discover that the work he's doing is actually like gibberish, I was envious that she had that experience of that movie. But it's hard to do that. So the fact that you knew that this was a vampire movie, first of all, it's not just a vampire movie. So that is a twist and a surprise on its own. But also it doesn't it didn't ruin it for me. I was a little worried it might ruin it for me, but it kind of eases the vampires in. It's not like suddenly all of a sudden the band turns into vampires like From Dusk Till Dawn. It's not a shock thing. It almost reminded me of the structure of a movie like The Descent, where you forget it's a monster movie if you even knew that, because you've got 45 minutes, an hour of these women being lost in this cave system, and it's really claustrophobic, and it's really intense, and it's really incredibly suspenseful, and then they discover they're not alone. So this movie has a lot of stuff going on that is genuinely a threat and danger and all these things to our protagonists before monsters show up. And so that just becomes another escalation, which is it's a long way to say I didn't mind that I knew it was a vampire movie. Everyone that I've recommended this movie to, I've said, please know as little as possible. But I have told them, I said, there's one word you might hear that doesn't ruin it. Don't think like, oh, I know it's that kind of movie. I don't tell them what the word is, but some of the people I've had that conversation with go, it's a vampire, right? And I go, yeah, but don't worry about that. Like that's not a twist that's been ruined or something.
I feel like to call this a horror movie almost kind of diminishes what the movie is, even though I mean it is technically. I can't. I mean, like, I don't know what else what you could honestly say it is outside of that, but I mean, like,
it's a genre film.
Okay,
and genre is a fantastic way to explore all these things. This is not a movie that invented anything like that, but it's sure an excellent execution of that approach, which is what we're saying.
But it does feel weird because of all the stuff, especially the first half of the movie. I feel like you're dealing with stuff that is so some serious stuff actually. And I think about like, and this is actually if we go, just kind of talk about the characters in a minute here, that the things that these the people have gone through and experienced, that stuff is serious, and it's a and I think that's what makes the movie feel a little more weighty than just like your typical.
Sure, it's
like,
about something.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, it's the last thing I want to say as an intro to the way that this movie unfolds. I love how confident it is as a movie and storytelling, and I mean, it should be. These are accomplished filmmakers and craftsmen and actors and everything.
Yeah.
But the very first scene of the movie, which now everybody has talked about, I remember I'm watching this movie and I didn't really know what to expect. I wanted to see it. I was happy to have gotten tickets and gone to the movies. But the first time that you see Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan, they're just leaning on this Model T, and they're is it Model T or Model A?
I think it's Model T.
I hope so. I got to get it right because
sure it's
I know a Model A enthusiast who will be very upset if I get it wrong.
I'm pretty sure it's a Model T.
Okay, well, if it isn't, then you'll just edit it and I'll go. He's leaning
Model
on a Model
A.
A, but
Pairing.
But they immediately are just two distinct characters by what they're wearing. One's got blue tones, one's got red tones. Those turn out to mean something, of course, in the movie. But they haven't even spoken yet, and they're just leaning on the car. And one of them passes a cigarette to the other, and their fingers touch, which of course is impossible because they're that same actor. And I remember I saw that and I went, wow, this guy he's just in a good way. He's showing off.
Yeah.
This movie is going to be really, really well done. And the way that the story unfolded, where there's no scene that says, well, Smoke came back and he did have a baby and the baby died and it was really sad and that's why he's got this sadness in him. You pick up that he's got a sadness in him. There's a jovial nature to his brother that isn't in Smoke, and then you find out why wordlessly when he puts flowers on a grave, and you find out why when he talks to the baby's mom. Like there's nothing that you're lost. I love a movie that throws you in and doesn't feel like it has to explain everything. And some of my favorite movies, like one that I may mention a time or two on this called Mad Max Fury Road, they just throw you into this world.
Yeah.
They just throw you into it.
That's the best.
And I think that is something you have to be really confident about. And this movie, especially with that one scene about music later, is in a really good way, almost cocky.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I watched a video of it's a video of this masterclass by Alan Moore, who did Watchmen and a ton of stuff. And
also noted beard craftsman.
Yes. He's got quite a beard.
Yeah.
And he said that's one of the things he loves to do when he is introducing a world that people aren't familiar with. He goes like, if it's like a newscast or something like that, where people are talking about famous people that you don't know who the hell they're talking about. He loves like throwing people into a world where they don't, where you don't know what's going on. You just have to, because people love to kind of figure out and catch up.
Right. Well, some people do.
Some people do. Some people are like,
I think it's more satisfying storytelling than not. That doesn't mean I have never liked a story or a movie that isn't more straightforward, introductory, that you don't feel the exposition is clunky. I mean, there's a huge range of things between the way this story is told and, I don't know, The Phantom Menace or something like that. But I think that kind of satisfaction from the people who are telling you the story, I'm like, sure, that makes sense. I'm glad to hear that. That's why he does it that way.
And it's it's like this. It's you. I think you get more satisfaction. It's don't tell the audience. I don't know who said this, but it's don't tell the audience 4. Tell them 2 + 2. One of the things that I also saw somebody said that I was holding off before we actually started recording. Saying was that, or maybe I did say this. I can't remember if I actually said it, but make your stories simple and your characters complex. And I was like, I heard some writer say that, and I'm like, damn, that's good, because it's like, if it's all like, so much that's I think that's one of the things that it's like, I think when I was talking about to you a couple weeks ago about reading science fiction, and I said, like, I like hard science fiction rather than to read than fantasy science fiction, because it's like my brain can only handle so much. So it's like I feel like hard science fiction, I kind of, because I feel like you're living in a world and they're just saying, hey, this is what's already exists, and we're just kind of expanding on what could be. And I feel like my brain can get that. That's simpler for me to understand that as a story. And then you can have like the characters that are flawed and I can deal with that. And I
Okay.
feel like and I feel like that's what this is. It's a simple story. It's just these guys, they're putting on a party. And then, but they have all these things going on.
The plot is definitely simple like that and in a good, clean way.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I really like feel like they all have sort of their own like their complex nature to their backstory. I mean, Smoke has, and I have to say this, I don't know if you felt this in my head, the way my brain works. Smoke and Stack, I kept getting their names confused because this is my logic behind this. Follow me on this. I felt like Stack was more easygoing
Sure.
because he's like, hey, let's take the plantation credits. We can do, we're gonna make this work. And he was kind of like easygoing, and Smoke was the one who was a little more rigid, and he seemed like, and that's part of his backstory. But in my head, I was thinking, Smoke, Stack. Smoke is kind of just out there, kind of free flowing, and Stack like neat.
Oh, so
Stack.
you
And in my
reverse
head, I
it.
was like,
gotcha.
I kept like connecting the
gotcha.
two with the raw, and I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Oh, that's him. That's the other one. And I think it was just that it was that visual in my head. I think it's just because of my ADHD. I kept associating the names wrong.
Well, don't feel bad. I mean, they do look a lot alike. So.
I heard that, but I do feel like, but like you had like Stack, his relationship with with Mary,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like that could have been such a like one note kind of thing, like, this is my ex-girlfriend, but then you find out like what he was trying to do for her, and that became such a complicated like thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so interesting, like,
oh yeah,
and then you have Sammy's relationship with his father, and I thought that was really interesting, and then obviously Smoke, and his relationship with Annie,
Mm-hmm.
and their history with losing a child, and even like, and I'll tell you, and I thought was a brilliant choice when Delta Slim, Delroy Lindo, tells the story in the car, and the deliberate choice to just have audio of what was happening, what he was describing when they lynch him in the train station. I'm trying to remember the specifics of the story.
Mm-hmm.
They lynched the guy in his friend, or the guy he was hanging out with, and they lynched him, and they just did the audio. I was like, wow, that's great. And as a director, I think I was like, what a like great thing to do for an actor. I saw an interview with Denzel Washington. He said, film is not an actor's medium, it's a director's medium. He said, because you could be given the best monologue ever, and he goes, the director could be looking at your foot with the camera, or your elbow, or just somewhere off in a cornfield or whatever. He said that, like, to intentionally like have the camera on him, and you're seeing like sort of what he's going through, and he's processing these emotions as he's telling the story, and you kind of see the other actors kind of reacting to what he's telling the story, and just to have that audio, I was like, wow, that's somebody that really cares about their actors. And I think it also speaks to someone that just understands sort of the I hate to use this term, but the management side of being a director, and understanding that you've hired your cinematographer, your sound person, your actors to do the specific jobs, and that you don't have to micromanage what they're doing, and you pick the best people for the job. And it was just like, I don't know, I just thought that scene was just the choices he made, and just that scene with all four of them in the car. I don't know, was Cornbread in the car at that point? I can't remember. It was at least four of them.
I don't remember.
It was at least four. It was at least four people in the car at the time. But I thought that was just, I really liked that scene. But anyway, so that was my thing about the as far as for character and sort of how they.
You have to remember. I mean, I don't think I mean, we love movies and talking about movies and learning how movies are made and all that kind of stuff. So if a person comes to a movie and loves the movie, doesn't care how it's made, they're not going to think about this sort of thing. But to me, I mean, the best directors aren't just somebody like Spielberg, who he is clearly just knows where to put the camera
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get the effect that he wants and stuff. It's also a lot of coaching actors.
Yeah.
And movies are so fragmented.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of why I think Tom Hardy really kind of lost his shit on Fury Road, is because the way that George Miller shot that movie wasn't even shooting coverage. It was a lot of like, I need you to sit here and turn your head. And Tom Hardy as an actor is like, what am I feeling?
Yeah.
And George is like, well, you're still feeling this. And that's not George's fault as a director. It's just like, he knows so specifically what he wants.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always work. I mean,
Yeah.
you and I have both worked in production, and there are definitely some people you've encountered, and they're usually actors on the set that are acting like this. They need a lot of reassurance. Yeah. I'm not saying that's what happened with Tom Hardy, but it's like
it varies.
They need as for the work that they do, they need to feel a certain level of confidence, I think, in the emotion that they're conveying.
Yeah.
And that it's what is wanted, and that it's what is going to come through correctly. And like you said, that there's nothing between Denzel Washington on stage and the audience.
Yeah.
When it's a play.
Yeah.
And I that's why movies are so absorbing to us as the audience. And honestly, it's a miracle anything ever gets made.
That's true. I mean, I'll tell you this, without going into too many details. Just a quick story about when I was working on Homicide, and I remember the director tried to tell Yaphet Kotto what to do, and he said, he goes, "Leave me alone," like real loud. And I was like, whoa. And let me tell you, the director never said
left him alone. Yeah.
Oh. And it's just that everybody, you got to respect their process. And I think he is, I think Ryan Coogler is just and I say this in the most respectful, like admiration for a film geek way possible, that he is a movie, like, I watched, have you seen, there's that video where he talks for like 8 minutes straight about the different film stocks
and aspect ratios and stuff.
Yeah, and he's like holding the thing. I was like, dude, I love that.
It's our kind of nerdy.
I love to see people making movies that do that, because you feel like there's some people that are doing it like it's an assembly line kind of thing, and then you have people like that are just like this because I watched that, and also watched him do the Criterion Closet.
Oh yeah, it just came out. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday. I was on the back cleaning up dog poop, and I got 2 dogs now, so it's a little bit longer. So I'm listening. I was cleaning that up, I was listening to him, and just to hear him talk about like his thoughts, and you're just like, wow, this is somebody that just really gets it.
Yep.
I do have some other character stuff. If you would, is there anything else you wanted to bring up?
Well, no, I mean, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about in whatever order you want to talk about. I have specific stuff I want to make sure that we talk about too, that I think you'll want to talk about. I want to hear what you have to say about the characters, because I think, as this movie rolls on, you learn so much about these people, and you end up caring so much about these people, and that's again, simple story, complex characters firing on all cylinders.
I do like the fact that I feel like they never. I feel like the person who does the most heavy lifting, as far as someone who has a lot of exposition in their dialogue but does it really good, is Annie. And oh my gosh, what's her name?
The actress?
Yes,
Wunmi Mosaku.
Yes,
yeah, she's wonderful.
She is, and she handles it perfect, because they never. And this is speaks to his to the writing. Did Ryan Coogler write that himself? Was it just him? Or did he have anybody? Actually, I'm not sure. Look it up.
If only there was some sort of like international network.
I know,
we could get information.
But he,
he's the only credited writer.
So he, and I think it really speaks to the writing of it, is that he, there is no scene where they just overburden you with this is how things work. I feel like that they kind of broke up the scene, so it's like, so she has to fill you in on, so all of the, what I'll call the supernatural magic stuff. She's the one. She's sort of our conduit into that world.
She's the guide.
She is the one that gives us all that. She does that perfectly, and she also has to give us smokestacks. Smokestack story.
Yeah, you got it right this time.
I got it right.
I am happy to correct you as needed.
Thank you.
And I expect the same in return.
But she's the one that has to give us all that. So she does. I feel like out of anyone, she has to do a lot of the heavy lifting, most of it. I mean, like, you do have people like Mary gives us some of the giving all this work to the women. What's up? She does a lot of stuff, like talking about, like, her family with the twins. And she does a lot of that, but I do feel like Annie is the one who She gives us a lot. I never felt like I never for a moment felt like there was a time where I was just like, you know, I think sort of my neurodivergent brain sort of tends to pick out things, and you see it's sort of like, oh, I see the threads in this, I see where they're going with this, or this is, oh, they're doing this thing that you need to do in a movie when you tell a story. This is the thing that's coming up here. This is the, you know, the turn, this is the end of this act, or this is the thing that they have to explain to us. I tend to see that a lot, even in some of the best movies. I just pick that up, and I feel like I got so into this movie, I never felt that way. I never was like catching on to like, oh, I mean, like, I get it. And when I look back on it, I was able to kind of pick it out. But in the moment, so many movies, I catch it as it's happening, and I just wasn't catching it, which is a
Because it
testament
was
to how
working.
how
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
working for me.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you had anything more to add to that, but I did want to talk about Remick as a character too.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, let's talk about him because he's even the way that he's introduced. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Let me tell you, dude, they need to make, and I'm not. I was funny because I said this to Jane because I watched it by myself. She didn't watch it with me. And Jane's my wife, by the way.
Well, I'm sorry she missed out.
I know well, I watched it in the middle of the day, so that's why she was working.
As long as you didn't watch it on your phone.
No, I did not watch it on my phone. I mean,
God.
David Lynch, R.I.P. But I know I did not. I watched it in 4K presentation on my TV in my living room.
Thank God.
But the I mean, I was so pleased to see so many people thought the same thing. They need, and I know Ryan Coogler says he's not gonna, he's kind of done with this story, or so he says. We'll see, but they need to make Vampire Hunter Choctaw.
Oh, the Choctaw, the natives.
Oh my God, I would if they make a movie, I'll go see that. That was like vampire hunting, Native American, like. I'll pay to see that.
See, it's funny because those characters, they made me kind of sad because this whole movie, I mean, the vampires are, I think they represent an assimilation of identity and combining, not quite as sterile as the Borg or something, but combining distinctiveness into something that is different and new, which is how a lot of people think of America.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I think this is actually a great American movie.
Yeah.
But the way that they show up is that they've almost handled him.
Yeah.
And then they say to the white characters that clearly don't respect them.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, this is a problem. And the white people are basically like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, bye. Because they've been excluded from that American project more than, almost anyone else from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they're used in the movie is allegorically and as characters is very interesting. So I don't need to see more of them as far as like a story like that. But the idea that they would be doing something that's useful, specifically like hunting this evil thing, I don't know. Like, did they cross paths with him because they've been hunting him? Did they cross paths with him because he attacked their community the way he's about to attack this community in Clarksville? I don't know, but it's interesting because they offer essentially assistance and are scoffed at. And literally moments later, you see exactly why these people that are Klansmen that have a hood sitting there, that these are bad people, in my personal opinion. That they disdain them and reject their help, and the Choctaw are like, all right, well, see you later.
I mean, I kind of got the feeling, and I do wonder. I mean, I do wonder if they were hunting him. And
that's legit. I'm not saying that's wrong at all. It's a legit way to read it. I mean, they seem to be. It's not quite clear how he survived in the sunlight, the way that, like, when he literally leaps into frame, he's already smoking and his skin is coming off and he needs to feed to regenerate and everything. But the sun is setting, and that's also why the Choctaw, they know the mechanics of it. There's nobody in that group of horsemen that doesn't know what a vampire is and doesn't know what they're dealing with and doesn't know how serious it is and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it doesn't, I mean, like I said, not necessarily that I want to see like a prequel, like them with necessarily against like Remick, but just like, hey, these guys do That's just me.
That's not. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that's a bad idea or something. But I think that the fact that they're a small part of the movie is as deliberate as anything else.
Sure.
And,
No, I get your point.
I mean, if you said to me, "I'm going to make a movie about the Smokestack Twins in Chicago,"
Uh-huh.
they're clearly running from something.
Yeah.
They didn't come back to home where everyone knows who they are, even to the point where you can be a smokestack twin and you can be robbing their vehicle, not knowing it's them. They can shoot you, and you are still very deferential and apologetic as to, oh, I didn't know it was you, kind of thing. They didn't come back to just invest in the community, kind of thing. But the fact that there's rich backstories there, that's enough for me.
Yeah,
I like that, because sometimes there's that clip of William Friedkin talking about how, like, I can't remember if he actually said who it was, but he was directing an actor who basically said, like, I wrote 100 pages on this character's backstory, and this is why I'm going to do this. And William Friedkin is essentially, he's a pretty frank guy anyway.
Was that Al Pacino?
It might be. I don't remember, but he was basically like, come here, kitty. This is my cat, Una, who is hanging out with us. He was like, okay. Do whatever, I don't need that. Do whatever you want, that kind of stuff. But the depth of it there, the richness of it there. Because people will tell you how to write a screenplay in a class or a book or a website or whatever. And, some of it is like, you should know more about your characters. You should write a 40-page bio of your main character, that kind of stuff. As a tool, if that helps you as a writer, I understand that. But there was a richness to everybody here. And they didn't. Some of them do, but they didn't have to tell you their history. Yeah. And you can make a movie about the 40 years? No, not 40 years. 60 years that Stack and what's Haley Steinfeld's character's name? I'm blanking. Mary. That they have been out in the world as vampires and then end up in a kooky sweater, and there's so much more they could do. And I'm at the point right now where I put out another soundtrack album. I want to hear more music, but I don't want more, because it's so satisfying to me.
That's fair too.
It's so satisfying to me, because not everything needs to be a franchise, and this is a guy who's made 2 giant franchise movies.
And to be honest, I would say that the fact that I do agree with him, and it's funny. I say this, but I actually have a point that I do want to bring up about that kind of goes against what I just said. But I think in my head, I'm kind of like, that'd be kind of cool to see, like.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. But you're allowed to disagree with yourself also.
The idea of like a type of vampire hunters we haven't seen before, that haven't been, is appealing to me.
I get that.
So I think that might be where I'm kind of
coming
fair. From. So
that's fair.
That's sort of where I'm at.
So Remick, Jack O'Connell.
Yeah, he's just like, I kind of feel like that is a what's interesting about that as a character, Remick, is that I feel like the idea of someone that might have a similar type of trauma. Might use that as a means of manipulation.
Yes, and there's obviously, that's the fact that he's Irish is very specific.
Yeah,
but also, doesn't he play the banjo? That's literally an African instrument that he has taken on for himself, and his music is very different than the blues that they're playing in the juke joint, and he even positions himself as offering something good. He's not trying to kill everyone. He's trying to build a community. And you can look at that in a lot of different ways, and a lot of different legitimate readings of it, and that's a bad thing and an evil thing, and it consumes them. But he doesn't show up to kill everyone. He's not the Klan at the end. Yeah. He's not the guys who are lynching someone in front of Delroy Lindo at the train station. He wants to build something new, because, as you said, he's been subjected. We literally saw him being hunted. Yeah. And, again, if it's a vampire movie, why he's smoking and why he's probably being chased and everything. But he is the target of other discrimination, ironically, in that case, by people who have been the ultimate target of discrimination. Yeah. So he is in this country.
I saw an interview with Ryan Coogler, and he was saying, I'm trying not to misquote, but he does allude to the fact that it's like Remick as a character, like the whole, even though he may be used as sort of a metaphor for the appropriation of Black culture and that sort of thing, he as a a being that he doesn't really get like the whole like bigotry, Klansman, like racism, like that's not his thing.
Right.
Even though he might be partially when you zoom out a little bit and look at what his character's kind of being used for within the story. But like but as a character within the story, he's like he's fine to go back, kill those Klans guys. Like, yeah, like I don't give a shit. Because he even says that he's going to go back. They'll go back. We'll kill him.
Right.
I don't care. That guy's a bigot. I'll go kill him. And but he is definitely has selfish motivations for what he wants to do.
Everyone does in the movie. And that makes them more human.
And I do like the idea too. That sort of like this idea of I don't want to say destroy, but it's sort of like this healers versus destroyer is not the word. I kept trying to think about this, and I originally wrote it down in my notes, I was like healers versus destroyers, but I don't think that's the right exact word for it. But
well, it's almost like synthesizers or absorbers because but
like a virus almost.
Yeah, because which the vampire virus, obviously that's a trope. That's a concept of it that's been out there for a long time, and it's again deployed really effectively here. I think that Remick is an infection, but he is, as a character in a movie, a more interesting infection than most, as far as who he is and what he's doing. I mean, because he doesn't just attack Mary and turn her. He says, I can see that you're in pain. I can help you with that. And I think he means that. I think he means like, I will free you from the pain of having lost your mother. I will free you from what she just went through. She's gone. You don't have to be gone. I can help you with that. Now, I also don't think he gave her a lot of choice.
But I think he's doing like, I can help you, but I with an eye to, I can help you because ultimately it's going to help me.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Again, an American movie. So
really. But I think that because I was thinking about how they did the whole, there's the narration in the beginning, and I don't know, I can't remember. Was that Annie in the beginning that does the whole thing about, like, she talks about the people that did the music and could heal people through music? Because I feel like that's very clear when we have the big through the music like of Black culture throughout the that's the big scene I was referring to before. I'm happy to talk about that scene. I do think that's Mary telling us the premise, and that's because that's the first time we see Remick and the two other people. They're outside,
right?
It's like, and it does make me wonder because he does say to Sammy, I'm coming for, I came here for you. And so that's why I was wondering when we were talking about, like, in the beginning, when he's running away from the
Choctaw.
The Choctaw. Mm-hmm. Wow, why do I always have trouble with that? I always want to say it backwards.
Choctaw?
Yeah.
Well, you're always stack smoking, so don't feel bad.
I know. But it does make me wonder, was he already looking for Sammy back that far back, or was it because of that scene where he was like, whoa, he got a whiff of something?
Oh, you mean like he's the guy that made the literal barn burner that unlocked these things between, like, he witnessed the power
did Sammy
of this,
do that?
of Sammy.
Was he kind of like, whoa, like, did he feel a disturbance in the vampire force?
I kind of read it like that. It's also possible. I mean, maybe he heard that there was somebody. There's somebody young who can do this. So because when that kid plays, he plays at the train station when they're trying to recruit Delroy Lindo, and immediately, of course, a crowd is drawn.
Yeah.
So this is a kid who's magnetic.
Yeah.
And this is a kid who draws more than people in. He draws time. He draws people who are long dead. He draws people that aren't born yet. He draws literal monsters. And it's that scene. That was the other scene, because I tend to when I'll watch a movie, I tend to absorb it on multiple levels. I don't do this consciously, and it doesn't take me out of what it is, because I can watch E.T. for the 100th time, and I can cry the last 40 minutes of the movie, and also be like, I love this music so much. This music is so incredible, and that's so intimidating. And like, I remember the astronauts were really scary when I first saw that movie when I was a kid. And now it's like they literally don't know what they're dealing with. Of course, they're dressed for space. There's something completely alien. Like just to think about that, even as I'm really worried, because look how sick E.T. is, that kind of thing. And so I remember when that scene happened and people started to appear that were clearly not there a moment ago, that were from what she had set up, what Mary had set up at the beginning of what this music can do, that these people can do. I mean, it was so bold, just like a whole other scale of that first shot of them brothers touching, to pass the cigarette. I was like, this Coogler, man.
Yeah.
The balls on this guy. It's amazing.
Actually,
it's incredibly, and he's pulling it off.
And like from the technical standpoint on that too, is that I kind of feel like I was so blown away by the actual, like the I always forget the two terms.
Choctaw.
No. The movie that's actually happening in diegetic,
the diegetic and the exegetic.
So it's actually happening in the movie. It's diegetic, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's like the record that you see the record player, and
I know the term. I just always forget which one is.
I gotcha.
So diegetic. The diegetic that music was so good that I kind of like. I'm having trouble remembering the actual score of it, because I was so kind of like I really got into that. Like that pale, and I'll get into that in a minute. I don't want to get into that pale moon like scene. Was really so good. I was like, and because that's like there's sound going on. Like that's not even, and I feel like that was so good. And that's not even the through the generational part. But I'll get into that. But that was this. I'm probably kind of. But back to the acting.
Yes.
Miles Caton. Catton, do you say Catton?
I think it's I would say Caton.
I would say Caton too. But anyway, Caton was his first. What the hell?
Oh, I know.
He's so
his
good.
First movie, yeah.
He's so good. And I actually, the guy that plays his father, Saul Williams. He, I actually first heard about him like years ago because I'm a big Nine Inch Nails fan. Trent Reznor produced one of his albums.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and it was like, and I was like, oh hey, and I saw, I was like, hey, I knew who that guy is. He, I think everybody was excellently. Like, there's nobody that was there that I went.
You mean performance-wise?
Yeah, performance.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was good. But he was so good.
So many musicians. Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
Buddy Guy, my God.
Oh, yeah. At the end, yeah. But it was just like, and I think that the way that his acting was just amazing. And where I couldn't find out where he's from. Did you know? I feel like and I don't know if he was putting it on for the movie, because I haven't seen an interview with him. I need to find out. I see interviews with everybody else, but I haven't seen many interviews with him. Is he actually from like the same place that Ryan Coogler's from? Because
I don't know.
I felt like if you listen, where like Ryan Coogler, his voice is kind of like it sounds like it kind of comes from like his voice is like it sounds like it's coming from like back of his mouth a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I felt like, so I don't know if he was that they had him trying to mimic, because that's Ryan Coogler's from that area,
right?
The Mississippi, I guess it's Mississippi Delta is where it was supposed to be. I looked it up. They actually filmed in Louisiana.
Yes.
But he.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I guess they can tell you the planet Titan in Avengers: Infinity War is really in Atlanta.
I get it. But what the point I was trying to make. So I didn't know if he was intentional, but when I hear him, because I just feel like Ryan Coogler's like his voice. I thought he sounded a lot like Ryan Coogler, and I was like, is he doing that intentionally, or is that?
I don't know. You can look that up and then edit it in, and then suddenly we'll cut to you saying, no. I was wrong.
But anyway, yeah, I just thought he was just so like, and if he doesn't, and Michael B. Jordan, if they don't both get like Oscar nominations, I'll be very disappointed.
Oh yeah,
they're so good.
I mean, obviously, I haven't seen a lot of movies yet this year, and I haven't seen the stuff that was making waves at Cannes, like Jennifer Lawrence's movie and all this stuff. But I mean, this is a jump out early kind, like Silence of the Lambs. Came out in February, and no one was surprised that it went as far as it went, kind of thing. Again, another genre movie.
Yep.
But I think. I can't wait for it to come out on home video, physical media. I'm a bit of a physical media guy, and I look forward to watching it at home I'm thrilled I saw it in the theater,
Yeah.
but I want to see it
of course
again,
I would have saw it.
and I want to show it to other people.
Yeah.
I want to share it with other people. So.
I thought that I mean, like if we were talking a little more about the technical aspect, unless there was something else you wanted to kind of cover, we were talking about before with the acting.
You don't have to check in with me. We can just go where it goes.
Well,
It's all right.
but
That's
like,
very
I
sweet
thought
of you. Thank you.
The director of photography, Autumn Archipel, I think is how you say her last name. She and don't give me crap because I can't pronounce anybody's last name, so I try to be as sensitive as possible to last names because people even mispronounce my last name, which I think is pretty easy. But
They mispronounce my last name too. Don't feel bad.
really,
Oh yeah.
I know I've heard.
I have to tell people sometimes what I've told like middle school students and stuff. Don't be fooled. It's Mr. Gould. And then people go, oh, I get it now. I didn't think it was hard, but I had to come up with that just so people wouldn't Gould me.
But I feel like some of those scenes like I mean it's just like that the Model T. Hopefully we're right. Model T.
I believe we are.
Going down the road with cornfields on either side, or cotton fields. I guess they're not cornfields.
They're definitely cotton fields.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sitting. I'm thinking. We're in Maryland, so I'm thinking of corn, right? But
Well,
like,
we're really a tobacco slave state, I guess. But
well, I mean, right now when I drive, like
we're not a slave state right now. That's true.
no. That's so Jesus. No, I meant like when I. Oh my God. When I drive, I see a lot of cornfields. So
Yes.
that's made me think that. Anyway, God.
Delicious.
Anyway, but when they drive down the road and there is, the big cotton fields and just that wide, that aspect ratio of that IMAX
In this gorgeous movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's just you're like, wow. I mean, just like, wow.
But it's full of pain
No,
and blood.
yeah.
No, but I mean, like the movie
Oh yeah.
blends those very effectively.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's literally where the blues are from. Is from pain, and then what was taken from blues artists by the music industry and by other people, like vampires,
Yes.
is as tragic and awful as it is.
I know
beautiful.
somebody
So-
made a point. They compared when Rimick said they compared Rimick to record label executive, where he goes, "I want your stories, I want your music."
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's like, yeah.
that's literally what is happening. So
But it just made such a great use of the IMAX format, and I actually didn't notice it because I was so into the movie. But there's a the scene, and here we go, big spoiler, when Grace tells them they can come in, and
when she screams in pain, come in here to fight because what you're gonna do to my family.
The scene when they all line up. Michael B. Jordan, everybody that's left lines up. It's like all the main characters was like two like cannon fodder people.
Oh yeah, there's two guys that
like,
somehow made it. Yeah,
who are these guys, right?
I was rooting for them, but not surprised at their fate.
Yeah. They were red shirts for sure. They
Yeah,
should
pretty
have had
much.
red shirts.
They
That was
should have. That
awesome.
would've been funny.
But anyway, so they are, and right before Remick opens the door, I didn't even notice this. The aspect ratio changes, but it's so gradual you don't even notice it. But somebody showed it like on YouTube. You can watch it like change. You're like, oh, that's really cool.
Well, I'm also really glad, and I hope they do it on the disc too. I'm really glad when that gets preserved for home video.
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't necessarily notice it.
Yeah,
and sometimes it calls attention to itself, and sometimes you just sort of pick it up because it's like the action scenes in Mission Impossible movies or something like that. Like to me, the same effect that movie First Man with Ryan Gosling about Neil Armstrong. My favorite scene of that whole movie is when they land on the moon, and the tension of it and the accuracy of it, and the music is the best music in the movie, and like all this stuff. But then there's the silence of the moon, and they open the hatch, and when they go out the hatch, the aspect ratio as they pass out of the lem into the silence and bleakness and darkness of the moon, the aspect ratio opens as they pass through the hatch.
That's cool.
And I was like, I noticed it. It didn't take me out of it. It drew me into it, and wow! And this movie definitely has stuff to revisit like that. Like
I think the only time that I ever really like, because Christopher Nolan does that a lot.
Yeah,
and
like
I
Batman
feel like
jumps off a building in IMAX, that kind of thing.
The one time that I really know was the opening of Dark Knight with the bank heist part when they were going the buildings. It gets a little bit dicey. I started to notice it. That's the first time I've ever noticed it.
Hmm.
Was because it goes from like them inside, like they're doing all the heist stuff,
Right.
to them like zip lining across the buildings, and I
Oh,
felt like it was
gotcha.
happening so quick that I was like, oh, I was like, oh. Now I'll be honest. The first time I watched it, I didn't notice it, but when I watched, I think it's because when I watched it like years later on Blu-ray. I
You picked
noticed
it up.
it. It was
I
probably
gotcha.
because it was maybe just because I was watching it on a TV. I was watching it on my phone.
Yeah, don't
On
do
my
that.
fucking phone.
I'm not David Lynch. I won't curse you for it, but come on now. Well, also in that scene, you might have been distracted by the fact that the whole bank robbery sequence is really stupid. And did they sync everything up with the last bell of public schools in Gotham so they could get in a bus? Like, I mean, come on,
Stop
it's
thinking
stupid.
about it.
It's stupid. It's stupid.
You got to stop thinking about and the last thing I'll kind of say about the cinematography, because it also kind of goes into the sound part of it, is that when I guess is that Pearline? That's her name, right? Yeah, Pearline. Because she's the one that sings the Pale Pale Moon,"
Yes.
and that's when Sammy sees Mary biting Stag,
Mhm.
and he's like, oh, or I don't know if he knows that she's biting, but he knows
Sees
something's
the
wrong.
blood. Yeah.
Oh, does he see the blood? I can't
I
remember what
think
it was.
so.
I'm trying to remember.
Well,
He knows something.
he thinks they're just having sex, and then he realizes something is wrong.
Yeah, he's like, there's
that's
something
how
fucked
I
up.
remember.
But but I remember the editing, the sound, and the way they edited it together was so like you could just really feel his anxiety, and it's like he's like walking around, and it's like people are in his face, but it's like not like people were like trying to. It's just like he's just trying to make his way through the crowd, and it was
Yeah.
like, oh wow,
Well,
this
also
was really well done.
the counterpoint of like he pulls out that guitar and that resonator starts going. He starts singing that rich voice, the confidence of that, and that's not who he is.
Yeah.
And the rest, like when he's drawn into his sexual experience,
Yeah.
his confidence feels very new.
Yeah,
And very newfound and very bucked up by the twins and that kind of stuff, because he's still a kid and there's a fragility to him, and he doesn't. I don't think he realizes, of course, the power that Mary sees in him to do that scene, the barn burner. So
there's somebody said that there's a when you talk about all the mashups of different types of movies, somebody said, and I didn't think about this, there's a little bit of a coming of age movie in there, and I never really thought of it that way.
Absolutely.
I guess because there's so many. If you were thinking of it as a stew, there's so many other much stronger flavors that there is the hint of it's the bay leaf.
Well, you had said you wanted to talk about who's the protagonist of the movie.
Yeah, well, I do.
That's a good example of the movie being very deliberate as to what it's and who it's about.
I mean, and I know this is kind of like well, let me just go over a couple technical things, and then let's get into that. So like, I mean, like as far as like the sound, because I do want to talk about, if we talk about like sort of like the sound portion of the movie, if we're kind of breaking that out. I mean, let's talk about that whole scene with the where it's the generations, like black music all the way going back from like you have it looked like there was some like like African tribal music.
Yeah, it's thousands of years.
All the way.
Of
And
black
they even
culture.
even threw in the there was some Asian. I guess it was basically just trying to represent everybody.
Well, the hip hop is international, and you can read that as hip hop is so powerful it has spread across cultures, or hip hop is so powerful it was stolen by other cultures, and it's there's so much going on in that scene. That's one of the scenes, of course, I can't wait to just sit and watch again and be absorbed by, because that shouldn't work. It's so ambitious, and it just completely works.
I don't know if you saw, I posted on that the thing where they show it's, of course, it's kind of funny when you watch it, when you see how the sausage is made, you're kind of like, it's a great scene. It's like, I almost, sometimes you're like, do I really want to see the making of it?
You don't necessarily want the illusion to be broken.
It is interesting the way that they had, it was, the camera was on this big crane, and they came down, it comes down, it's on a long track, and they pull it back. And
a bit of a oneer, you might say.
A little bit, yeah. And it's just amazing the way that they did that, and there's this cornbread just sitting there. This whole thing's burning down, and it's just like, it is just an amazing scene, and it's like, you just have to say, like, in the hands of a lesser director, you
Oh,
can't do
yeah.
that. You can't do that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to be at the top of your game to be able to pull that off, because it's like, because even as you're, it's funny because I kept hearing people reference, oh, there's that one scene, and I was like, I wonder what this is going to be. I thought maybe it was going to be something like really scary or really gory or whatever. I
Right.
didn't know it was going to be that.
Right.
And I'm watching it, and I was
It's not
oh,
shocking in that horror movie way you might have expected. Yeah.
And it's like,
but it is shocking.
It is, but it's interesting too, because it's like when it first starts out, I'm like, you're almost like, I don't know if this is going to work.
Right.
And then
that
it
was
just
exactly
kind of
what
comes, the way it just comes together. It's sort of like, it reminded me of like when you're making like something, like you're cooking something, and you're like, wait, I'm going to put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, you're like, oh, wow, this tastes really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's sort of how it was. You were just like, cause it was like, I was listening to it and I was kind of like, I don't know. And then just by the end of it, you're just like, oh, this totally works. And it was just
there's an element of risk to that too. I mean, everything that these characters do by pulling their community together for this night.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about the title, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Is an element of risk, and to create something in general is an element of risk, and for it to be satisfying.
Oh yeah.
For just the pleasure of a good meal or anything like that, it's incredible to witness it. So basically, I guess what I'm saying is, if this movie was dinner, I bet it would be amazing.
If it was what?
If it was dinner, it would be amazing.
Well, Ryan Coogler called it a grilled cheese sandwich. If you've heard that, have you heard
No,
that?
I haven't heard that.
So he said that he goes, he's spent so much time doing, in like franchises,
Marvel and all that stuff, yeah.
and the Creed, and he said, he goes, sometimes you just want a grilled cheese sandwich, something just tastes good, and you eat it and you're just done.
That's so funny.
And I'm probably paraphrasing that slightly, but he did call it a grilled cheese sandwich, and I think that's actually may have been. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if that was like the sort of like the set code name or not.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I don't know if it
funny.
was. But
well, they could have gone with Sinners. It's pretty innocuous. Anyway,
yeah, a grilled cheese sandwich would have been a little bit of a strange actual.
Well, that reminds me.
title.
I mean, I like a good food movie.
Yeah.
But that cheeseburger at the end of the menu,
yeah,
that Ralph Fiennes makes for Anya Taylor-Joy. I mean, I don't know anybody who didn't want to eat that off the screen. I mean, and that's a cheeseburger. That's the whole point. Like, make me something simple. That's the best thing. That's the most important thing. Don't give me a plate of little bits and pieces of nothing. And so if Ryan Coogler wants to make another grilled cheese sandwich, I'm there. I don't know what he's doing next. I want to say I heard he's doing something with the X-Files, or I don't even know.
Yeah, I heard, but that's I think it's going to be a series.
Yeah, no, it'll be TV, I believe.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm ready to follow this team anywhere at this point.
I hear you. So what was it, the next thing we wanted to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about the title, but I don't know.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about directing, but we can. Why don't we go into the title?
So, as I said, I think at the beginning, the title is, and I just said it again, the title is innocuous, and it didn't draw me in. And I think obviously titles are very important and very powerful. And it turned out that the title to me ended up being just perfect.
Yeah.
Because, the way that the definition in our lives, in the real world, of what a sinner is much broader than I think some people just default to. A sin is, it's evil. A sin is, something that God told you not to do, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, sinners need to get punished.
Yep.
That's obviously a big part of sin, as the consequences of sin, the wages of sin, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And in this movie, there are people that are immediately labeled as sinners, and they're labeled as sinners. They're labeled as sinners because they're being set up to be punished. And that's, of course, black people, when the Klansmen literally, they sell a literal slaughterhouse to these people, knowing that they'll come back and they will kill everyone because they need to be punished for being in the Jim Crow South instead of being in the antebellum South, where they were slaves, and they should have stayed as slaves, and they deserve to be less than, and all those things that everybody knows. And the movie, I think, is a big part of it. Like they're going to basically let them sin for a night, and then they're going to punish them, and they're going to punish them violently. But that concept of sin isn't just for the white people. I mean, the young man, the main character. There's the main character question mark. His
Sammy?
father, Sammy. His father also seems to regard sin that way. I mean, he doesn't tell him to put that guitar down because he just doesn't like guitars.
Yeah.
You know, it's a gateway to bad things.
Yeah.
And the to me the movie very explicitly doesn't think that the black people, the characters, are those kind of sinners, because to me in this movie sinning it's an act of liberation from oppressive institutions. It's an act of even for a moment becoming free from racism, from religion, through the pleasures of music, the pleasures of dance, which we literally connects their past and their future, but also the sensual pleasures of these things. There's a reason that people like dancing, and in this movie, the dancing is people are feeling it.
Yeah.
They should, because the music is that good, and they do it together, and it's really powerful. And these people are poor, and they're violated by Jim Crow every day of their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally get their bouncer out of the cotton field.
Yeah.
And a night like we see them have in this movie it's extraordinary. It's a wonderful event for them, and of course it doesn't last. But one big part of that is that this movie is about pleasure, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's, I want to say, at least 3 scenes and 2 or 3 other explicit references to oral sex in the movie, and specifically cunnilingus, which is devoted to the pleasure of a woman. And that's sex for pleasure already is for many people that's sinful. It's supposed to be about procreation, procreation, that sort of stuff. But if you're talking about the pleasure of someone during sex, most people in most of human history, it's the man that matters. And in this, the woman is receiving, demanding, experiencing the pleasure that is usually ignored, and it's usually discounted. And so there's a lot of very clear discussion. It tells us a lot about Ryan Coogler. It probably tells you about me reacting to it. But this movie is about eating pussy as liberation, and as freedom. But it's also joy, pleasure, climax. All these things are fleeting. And that is a very important part of it, because living them is more special, and destroying them for people is even worse. You make someone's life so bad. What if they didn't even have that? What if they didn't even have the ability to wrest that into their lives? And I think if you devote yourself to destroying that kind of beauty, to taking even that from people, I might consider you a sinner, and you might need to be punished. And there's a lot of fire in the movie, and fires burn out, and they can warm you or they can destroy you, or both. And the vast majority of characters in this movie are warmed by the fire of the barn burner, of the juke joint, of the human bodies together, the dancing, the music, the pussy, the everything. And then they all burn to death because they've been turned into monsters. They get burned to death by the dawn. Yeah. And I think it's good that the movie is clearly, it's not just talking about sexual intercourse, it's talking about a specific kind of sexual interaction. And it's very deliberate, and it's wonderful that it's deliberate. And because it's that act of liberation by people who are supposed to know their place and be oppressed, they are seen as evil. They're deliberately smeared as such, and we know that they're better than that, and that they are more than that. And I love that all of that is in the movie before the vampires show up. Yeah. I mean, the movie is just packed with all these things that are very powerful, and that to me made the title just perfect. Yeah. Because what I said at the beginning of my little talk here, my little soliloquy here is, the Klansmen consider the black people as being, they need to be punished for their sin of pride and things like that. And they really get punished at the end of the movie. And I had forgotten about them. Yeah. I had forgotten that they were part of the story until they all showed up. And you see,
then it turned into Clan Call of Duty.
Well, yeah, I mean, Smoke has a bar. Yeah. Smoke literally has a battle rifle, and then a Tommy gun, because remember, he's a gangster, and a grenade. Yeah. And he gives them what they deserve, but of course, he doesn't survive that either.
Yeah.
And so the idea of even the movie playing with its title in that way, and what a sin is, and what
Yeah.
sinners are, and what it means, I just found that so affecting. And it was I don't know, it's just another example of the way that this movie is such a good story, well told.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I think that it's even as a sort of like on the surface level, when you're talking about the title of the movie, I like how they do bookend it too, with it's like he goes into the church, and then they talk about like his father's like,
You mean the flash forward at the beginning?
yes, and then and then he picks up at the end about how he I'm talking about not the 1992 part. I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, I mean, the very end of the movie is "This Little Light of Mine," right? Isn't that what he sings?
That part. I'm talking
in
about,
a time before this movie,
but
in a time of some
when
peace.
The flash forward picks back up.
Oh yeah, when it meets itself in the movie. Gotcha.
At the end, that part
after dawn.
He's talking about like just sort of like your normal preacher renounce sin or
right.
I can't now. I'm trying to remember the exact bits of a dialogue, but basically was telling him to reject sin, kind of normal preacher stuff that you would hear. And so it's I think it was everything that you were saying does kind of fits into that story, into the title, and it all kind of works.
Now you'll be editing this episode. Do you want me to just give you a bunch of different euphemisms for oral sex that you can cut in?
That's quite all right.
Just so because you made some fun faces that people may not be able to see if we don't release this on Patreon. And I just want you to have. Really. I don't care if someone is. I genuinely don't care if someone is uncomfortable, because the movie is about pleasure being forbidden, and that's bad.
What do you mean? So, you don't care if someone's like, you mean while watching the movie?
No. Well, yeah. I mean,
I get it. Well, because it's when someone's expressing their art. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, then either don't listen to it, or just kind of go along for the ride. And there are gonna be some parts of
or figure out why
there's some parts of the expression that you might of the expression of that art that you may be uncomfortable with, and you can either choose to go, okay, well, I'll kind of just deal with that as it comes along within that expression.
Did it make you uncomfortable in the movie?
No, I mean, it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable at all. It's just that it's one of those things where it's I mean, if anything, when you were just talking about it, like I wasn't sure exactly where you were going, and then you said it, and it's almost like, oh, okay, that's where you're going with that.
Yeah,
it was more of that. I mean, it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. It's just
I mean, it's okay if it does. I'm not saying it to make you uncomfortable.
It's not a thing where it's uncomfortable. It is sometimes it comes across surprising because it's not a conversation that you see
right
often.
It's not very common.
So it is
in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. So it is. You're just like, oh, okay, that's what I mean, and then of course sometimes it's played a little bit for humor when he tries, like when Stack is trying to tell him, you comparing it to eating ice cream,
right? To how to do it.
It is played for humor a little bit, and it's a little thing like you kind of like, there's a few things where. Little chuckles here and there where apparently he's like, oh, I walked all this way. I should better wash up. And, you're kind of like, it's the little things like that. And I have to say, the person I feel most sorry for, I do feel a little sorry for Perline's husband, because we do forget that she was married. But and I know, man, let me tell you, I don't know what kind of magic was going on there. But I mean, if you noticed, Sammy names that place after her for that brief bit of time one night.
Yeah,
she must have been something else.
Yeah,
but
doesn't some character in the movie say that was the best night of my life?
Yeah,
and I think even the people
I think they both. I think Sammy and Stack both.
Right, and I mean even people that we saw die horribly in the movie will probably say that.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just the last night; it was the best night. It was the most free night. And even Stack letting them pay with plantation chits that are worthless. Yeah. Like he didn't want to. That's a different kind.
People want to cut
right.
loose.
It's a different kind of greed, and it's a different kind of like, not that Smoke is a bad greedy person. I mean, he's a murderer and smuggler and all those good things. But he's like, we're running a business, and his brother is like it's more than a business.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
And I want people to feel good. I want them to pay. I want them to buy drinks and stuff. And I'm paying a lot of money to have the right musicians and the right bartender and all those kinds of things. But I want this night to be special, and it was very special for a lot of them, and until they turned into monsters and died.
I feel like also one of the strengths of the movie. So this is where I'm going to contradict what I said before.
Do it. Choctaw.
Yeah, no, and that is, I think the greatest sort of asset of this movie is that it's a complete story. And it's that in this, I honestly think in Hollywood right now, I think there's a real problem with them not knowing how to end movies. Movies don't.
Endings are hard in all medium. Yeah.
Well, they are, but I don't mean though. This is the problem. Is it's not that someone had trouble writing a good ending. It's that it's intentional now to
I see what you're saying. Gotcha.
to leave it in this in the era of TV shows and where that it used to be. The TV shows were trying to mimic the movies. Now movies are trying to mimic the TV shows.
Right.
And it's like, so everything's like, hey, we got something else probably coming up after this that'll connect to this somehow. So they're leaving things like almost too open. So you don't feel satisfied. It's like you get like, it's moviegoer blue balls because you don't really feel like, oh, this was this was they told a complete story, and it's just like with I think it's just the streaming serialization of movies. It's Marvel. I love a good Marvel movie.
Sure, it's entertaining.
But it's like I don't. But I feel like that's part of the problem, and that's just.
Well, I assume after we finish this episode, we're going to record another version where you can basically just be folding laundry and you can still pick up the gist of what we're saying. It's going to be the
audio description version.
Yeah, that's fine.
But and I feel like there's such a. I mean, you could argue that the mid credits scene where we pick back up in 1992, Sammy's a very old man, and and then we see that Mary and Stack did survive that night at the was it Club Juke? Was it called?
Is that what they call it? I'm totally blanking on it.
I think so. And that they survived that night, and so it kind of gives you that they're still out there, but it still felt like it was the end of the story.
Well, that's one of the best end credits, mid credits, whatever scenes I've ever seen because of that. And there were people in my theater that left and missed that scene.
Really?
And, oh yeah.
What?
As people just
this
leave.
Day and age, I feel like some people stay.
Well,
like
it's
now.
not quote unquote that kind of movie,
yeah, that's
right?
True.
But also the mid-credit scene didn't set up a sequel. It didn't say, "Oh, look, there's this whole other part of this world.
Yeah.
There's this more." Everything that you're saying, that's like this movie is complete, and it's even more complete than you realize if you don't stay for the what turns out to actually be the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because when that started, that it's he's like a real, he grew up to be a buddy guy. Okay.
Yeah.
What a neat sort of
Yeah.
twist or thing. And then of course there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that scene existed, you don't know that you missed anything, which is really interesting.
That's one way to look at it.
But it's so much richer to have the full ending, and endings are really hard.
Yeah.
And that is the to me, I mean, that's what you take out of the theater. So you're talking about how to tell a story, and this was just
I think
an unbelievably successful way to do it.
I think as a writer, I think if you are writing with the intention that the end of the story is the end of the story and not to leave it open-ended, I think that you have a better chance of writing a good ending.
Oh yeah.
Than if you're like, how can I set this up to leave it open-ended enough that I could write another story? I think you're just doing yourself such a disservice. I think it's better to write it like it's over and then figure out later on, if you want to write another story, figure out how to do it. I mean, look at whether or not you want to argue that, about Star Wars, the first Star Wars I mean, the first Star Wars that they blow up the Death Star, it feels very much like a complete story, and maybe George Lucas had all this stuff out that
Of course, it was all planned. It rhymes, Scott.
Yeah.
Come on, it rhymes.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, but it feels like a complete. It feels like a complete story.
Look, to me, a satisfying ending is when the story is done and the story has an ending, and I wish I could spend more time with the characters.
Yeah.
Like, I'll use E.T. as another example.
Yeah.
Like, I just you want more of all of it, but the story is done, and I remain very satisfied they never made a sequel. And I actually read a novelization of one of the scripts that was going to be a sequel, and it's not good, but more importantly, it's not necessary. I mean, when I think about sequels, that even if the movie is okay or has some good stuff in it, like the premise of Jurassic Park: The Lost World is, you remember where you saw them make all the dinosaurs on the ride in Jurassic Park? That was really just for show. There's a whole like place where the real science was happening. So there's a whole bunch of other dinosaurs there, blah, blah, blah. And that looks like the premise of the new Jurassic Park that's coming out. Like, there's another place, and that's where all the...
But only the really dangerous ones. Like,
which, by the way, they never make a movie about the island where they put all the least dangerous, really pleasant dinosaurs. I would see that.
I think that was the first movie.
Yeah, right. But I mean, what you're saying about the idea that an ending is not an ending because there's more, whether it's something they added later.
Yeah.
Like, I think Jurassic Park was pretty sure bet at the box office, so nobody was surprised they got the opportunity to make a sequel and to write the book and everything. Yeah. But I have been listening to the soundtrack of Sinners for months.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying returning to that world. I've been looking forward to having this conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again. Yeah. I don't want, and more importantly, don't need more.
Yeah.
And I love that he used a technique that they've been using for 15 years now to set up the next movie, to tell you to watch this TV show, to whatever. He used it to finish the story that you already were satisfied was over, and you thought was done. You might have noticed you didn't really see Stack died, but I admit, I didn't remember that by the time you got to the end of the movie, and he had just maybe died minutes earlier.
They should have had a movie company deliver a coffin.
There you go.
A big mansion, and then a door just shuts by itself, and there's a big... there's thunder and lightning, and then the screen goes to black, right?
Well, now we can do an episode on the now we can do an episode on the various successes and maybe more failures of the subsequent versions of Nosferatu.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's funny. That's a little thing I forgot to mention before. Speaking of that, I feel like people that say that Sinners it's just like Dusk Till Dawn. I would say that's like saying Salem's Lot is it's Dracula. I'm like, it's really not. It's like, I mean, you could definitely draw lines, but it's not. It's just not.
Well, not every zombie movie is the same movie.
Yeah.
That at this point, vampire movie is a genre movie. A horror movie is a genre movie. This is both of those things and a lot more. It's also a coming of age movie, like you said. It's a music movie.
Candles.
It's just like that. Except I think all the sex is consensual and for pleasure.
Well, that's true. It's
a lot better than Jake.
Yeah, no 80s bullies.
Yeah.
So let me maybe move to some questions here. Would you consider? And this is such a cheesy question, but I'm just going to ask it anyway.
You can always cut it out if it doesn't work.
Do you consider Sinners to be a new American classic?
I think it is a great American film.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So.
What it's about, the story it has to tell, how it tells it, who it tells it about, the way it reaches its own conclusions, but leaves you open to reach your own about so many different parts of it. That alone is great, satisfying storytelling, but it is about what this country is about and was built on, the pain and the exploitation and the horror and the possibilities and the way that the possibilities of building something new can be perverted into what the vampires are building. I will liberate you from being black. And now we're all dancing a jig. Like, just there's so much to think about, and it's so smart. And there are great American works of art, and this is the most recent one I've seen. or
And
read or
I'll tell you,
whatever.
I remember back when we were originally when we first started the podcast, the original version back in
Before the coffin reopened and
yeah
we rose as if we had the
the
greatest core strength of all
back
time
back in 2016,
and more
and
innocent
one of the
time.
things that I told you that I was apprehensive about is that this is back when we were going to be a little more comprehensive as far as like we were going to do stories about everything, and I said I had
You mean more than movies?
more than movies.
Yeah.
And I said I was a little apprehensive about doing things about slavery, I've changed my mind about that. But I think the main thing was my biggest concern is that as sort of as a white person, I don't want to be a trauma tourist,
Hmm.
and I feel like there's a lot of stuff out there that deals with everything from slavery up to like civil rights and even current day that I feel it almost feels exploitive when it shows like while I think it's important to understand things about slavery and about civil rights movement and just the mistreatment of black people in our country that it does you know what I mean like sometimes it feels like and I've seen this like some black creators talk about specifically about sinners that they appreciate that it's while they're not trying to sugarcoat what was going on at that time in America in 1932. So we're not in the slave era, but we are but it's still not great for black people.
That's
I know that's the
yeah.
understatement.
Jim Crow, not great.
Not great. No, I'm not trying to sound like I'm not trying to
I
sound like
know.
I'm not
I
trying to
know.
sugarcoat, but I'm using that. But so it's still a difficult time. I think the reason I'm saying that is because it's like it's not like things are great now either. So I think that's
Well,
that's the distinction
part
I'm
of
trying to
why
make.
things aren't great is because people, and I'm not saying that we have to have that conversation, but people won't talk honestly about it. I mean, to me, the
Yeah.
most powerful thing we could do as a nation with our past is what if we had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission about slavery, the same way that they followed the aftermath of the genocide in Rwanda and have done in other places. That's a really, really hard thing.
Well,
But
people don't.
that's people don't want to have those
But
conversations.
so I guess what I was trying to say is that one of the things that this movie does is that it doesn't and this is the thing where I was talking about being like a trauma tourist
Sure.
is that while you want to recognize what happened, you don't want to sugarcoat it, and you don't want to be like it wasn't that bad. Like you don't want to, especially as a person that's not even from the culture, to say that like how like that's shitty. You don't say I can't. What right do I have to say like it wasn't that bad? Like fuck, who am I? Because the last thing people want to hear is a middle-aged white guy talk about like who wants to hear my thoughts on racism, right? Because
It's bad enough. I just heard you say middle aged, and I was like, oh my god, we are.
that's when we live to be 100, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but
Wonderful.
but anyway, so but I think what it is but it's like you do have to consider like you don't want to re-traumatize people that have had to suffer through these experiences, this generational trauma,
Mhm.
and be like, hey, let's put this thing in your face. As the person that's not me, obviously, but I'm
Mhm.
talking about like as a black person, I can only imagine like because there are some movies out there that are tough to watch. For me as someone who has never had to go through some of the things that or any of the stuff that people that people that a black person has had to go through in this country because of my privilege. I can't imagine what it would be like someone that has had to go through that. So I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here. So I think like I was saying, some of the black creators have like YouTube creators that I've watched talking about this movie is that they appreciate that it's that you also get to see things like they call black joy, and you get to see people that are enjoying themselves in this time. So it's like it's not just that you're getting to see a full experience, and not just like in your face,
Right, which is
like
why that night is so special.
yes,
It's like,
yes.
it's so
But at the
special.
same time, they're not like because I like the part when he was when Sammy is talking to, and I think it's Smoke that says this, where he's like, I heard up in Chicago like they don't have Jim Crow, and he's like, who told you that?
Right.
And I was like, So I mean, I think that kind of speaks to sort of what I'm talking about, where it's like, you know, it's like that's why I'm saying not great. Oh no, it's all right. Anyway, so yeah, where it's like you're recognizing it, but you know, I'm not trying to say it's like it's not, it's you know that.
You're also allowed to watch a story that you want to watch or not watch it or turn it off.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I one of my favorite books I've read recently was Colson Whitehead's Underground Railroad, which is really,
right.
really.
Actually, to be honest with you, I think that was the book we were talking about when I said that, and I was because I said I'm just like I just don't want to. It's hard to say something when there's a traumatizing thing about slavery,
Mm-hmm.
and then as a white person go, "That's my favorite movie." I mean, like, if I was a black person, I'd be like, "The fuck's this guy?" You know
Well,
what
I mean, if you might have a reason that it's your favorite movie, it may be worth
Hopefully it's the
talking
right
about.
reasons,
But
right,
well,
yeah.
yes, I
yeah,
hope.
that's what I mean.
I hope it's not trauma tourism is a
Yeah.
fun vacation. But I mean, there's you know, Barry Jenkins did an adaptation of Underground Railroad, which is supposed to be spectacular, and his movies are beautiful. If Beale Street Could Talk is still one of the most beautiful, just beautiful movies I've ever seen about terrible, terrible pain. But I own the Criterion Collection Blu-ray of Underground Railroad.
Okay.
I have not been brave enough to watch it because the book is amazing, but it's really rough.
Yeah.
And the book is an allegorical tour through the different kinds of horrors of slavery. Even as it's got this incredible fantasy element, which is that the Underground Railroad that took people to freedom in the North, which again, there's no Jim Crow in Chicago. What does freedom look like? Was a literal railroad underground.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful. And I don't fault anyone, including myself, for not being interested in watching that kind of thing all the time. I would like to see.
I mean, you can't romanticize is not the word I want to say, or even sugarcoat it. We don't want to blunt it in any way.
Well, look, like I would like
need to know that this is what really happened.
Yeah, I would like to. Oh, absolutely.
It wasn't that it was just rough and they had to sleep in. Like,
it's astonishing and not shocking.
Yeah.
It's astonishingly sad, I guess, to me that there are people, and it's not their fault. There are people who didn't know what the Tulsa Massacre was till they watched the Watchmen miniseries, which it's an incredible television show.
Yeah.
But, you know, and that if you heard about the Tulsa Massacre in school, it was probably called the Tulsa Race Riots, which is not what happened.
Yeah, that's definitely not.
And what happened was a pure example of you aren't allowed to have that, and we will destroy you.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just not part of your history class. When, of course, that's that entire, you know, relationship of peoples in this country is a huge part of this country and what it's built on. You know, America is built on wonderful and terrible things, and I think to confront it honestly is, of course, very important. But also, it's also okay if you say, I want to step back and do this respectfully, or I don't want to watch this. I'd like to watch Jonathan Glazer's movie, Zone of Interest. I mean, I've been to Auschwitz, and I've seen a lot of movies about the Holocaust, and the depiction of the Holocaust in the Zone of Interest, as I understand it, is it's from inside the walls of the commandant's home, so it doesn't show you, you know, piles of bodies and gas chambers and things like that. It's all sound. Yeah. And I mean, I have a friend who watched the movie, and he's like, it's an incredible movie, but I got nauseous. Like from the power of it and stuff. And you know what? I haven't watched it yet, which is also okay. Yeah. So this movie is wildly entertaining about, you know, wildly disturbing things. And that's why I think it's a great American movie. Yeah.
So we can move on from the heavy part of this. and this is...
There's more? Because this might need to be 2 episodes.
No, well, no, actually, I just wanted to go through some...
I don't want to Rogan it up.
No, Jesus, no. We'll talk about it in Rebecca or whatever. But no, these are just the questions I wanted to ask at the end.
Sure.
So, and I think this actually might be a good transition question here. Is like, do you think there is another director that could have done this film justice?
No. I mean, yes, of course.
Okay, could have done the film justice by maintaining the same quality that may have had like a like a more interesting or different take to the story.
I mean, anything is possible. Every movie.
I mean, I just said there's something.
No, but I mean, like every movie is that alchemy of those people together at that time, which is why it's exciting that Steven Spielberg keeps having Michael Kahn edit his movies. He keeps having John Williams compose his scores. Like you find the right partners. George Miller made Furiosa with the same people he made Fury Road with for the most part. And those teams work together to varying levels of success. But if a successful movie, I'm not an auteurist, and I don't think that the most powerful or best kind of movie is one person's vision kind of stuff, because it is to me the most collaborative art form that's out there. But this is if you told me Ryan Coogler wrote a novel called Sinners about this story first and then he adapted it, I'd believe you. That's how rich this is. So would I be curious for lots of movies to see what somebody like what if Steven Spielberg had done one of the prequels? What if Quentin Tarantino made his Star Trek movie? I mean, sure, I'm curious about it, but I don't feel anything is missing. I mean, if you want to see like Quentin Tarantino made a movie about slavery. And it's a very powerful movie and has a lot of good things to recommend it, and there's also a lot of fun.
This story.
No, but I'm saying to me it's more interesting to try to figure out how would someone from a different perspective take on the kinds of things that this movie is about. And there's nothing in this movie that tells me, oh, it would have been interesting to have this specific person take a crack at it. It doesn't mean it wouldn't be.
There's nothing that you think of, like if someone said, "Hey, here's the Sinner's script."
Right, exactly. So who else could direct it? I mean, there are a lot of ways this could be made a great movie. I think we saw maybe the best one we'd get, and I wouldn't have said before Ryan Coogler is exactly the right guy for this, but I'm not surprised that he is.
I mean, honestly, I feel like you got it. There's two things that you would have. It has to be someone. It has to be obviously a black director. Like you can't, like this is about the black experience, right? So it was like,
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Yes, and also it has to be someone. It has to be someone from like that area. From Mississippi. Like you couldn't, like Spike Lee couldn't do this movie.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, Spike Lee proved he can't do Old Boy, but it's the fact that it's a personal story to the writer, director, storyteller obviously means it's even more that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see. I just feel like he's like maybe this is sort of my bias, because when I think of Spike Lee, I think of New York City,
of course.
So I can't. I just have trouble seeing. I'm not saying that he can't.
Look, he made a World War II movie, Miracle at St. Anna.
Yeah, actually, I've never seen that.
And that movie is okay.
It's okay.
It's not terrible. It's not bad. It's based on a true story. I think maybe another director would have been a more interesting kind of storyteller for it, because the movie is absolutely about race, but it's also a genre movie that he hasn't made a lot of movies in. It's not terrible. It's not embarrassing or anything like that. But, certain movies come out and it's like, well, will anybody make another World War II movie after Saving Private Ryan? It turns out they continue to make World War II movies, and some of them are excellent. I was trying to decide on June 6th, I like to watch a nice World War II movie. And I have a lot of my favorite movies are World War II movies. And I was like, I think I want to watch Saving Private Ryan. I haven't sat down and watched that in years. Yeah. I didn't. I ended up watching Overlord, which is a war genre movie and a horror genre movie and a body horror movie and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And part of why I think this movie is so powerful, as I've said, is that it is so many different things at once. And Ryan Coogler was the guy that conceived of it and brought it together. So would somebody else's vision of it be something I'd be curious about? Sure, but there is not another distinct voice. Yeah. I mean, would Kurosawa have done something interesting with it? Sure. The guy knows how to make movies, but Kurosawa's Star Wars, well, he already made that. It was called The Hidden Fortress.
There you go.
So,
is there a scene that you wish maybe they would have cut, or maybe a scene that they could have added that would have added a little more to the movie?
I mean, more oral sex is always fine.
There you go.
So I'm not against any addition of anything like that. But no, I mean the movie.
You feel like it was pretty much.
If the
do you feel like there was anything that maybe was missing? Like maybe they could have explained more.
If I had seen the movie and walked out when the movie ended and not realized there's a big piece missing that I wouldn't have.
Hold up, guys.
Well, I mean. It's not the kind of movie that you think has that. So some people like to I guess they want to beat the rush. I mean, I saw it at like 10 o'clock in the morning and it was a full theater. Yeah. I I have a number of we're sitting next to racks of the movies that my wife and I own, and there are a number of movies that have good extras, including deleted scenes.
Yeah.
I don't really watch most of those
Uh-huh.
because I feel like if the movie is good, and if I own it, I like it on some level.
Yeah.
But I feel like if something is left on the cutting room floor, then that's usually fine, because the individual scene might be interesting.
Yeah.
But if I didn't feel like something was missing, like in this case, I don't feel that something is missing.
Yeah.
There's things that could be more of, and you could show me they did an earlier cut that was structured differently. And I mean, I'd be curious about it, but there's a lot of other stuff I'd watch first, like the movie Sinners.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
I hear you. What do you think a good pairing would be this movie for a double feature?
Well, From Dusk Till Dawn is a little obvious.
Yeah, that's a little obvious.
That's a good question. I probably should have remembered to think about before we started recording. I'm a big fan. I have a whole list of on Letterboxd and on some of my notes for things that we can do. I love the idea of double features, even triple features. I love the idea of movies complementing each other and going together. And I don't know if this would be a good combination with a movie that's more of a vampire movie, a coming of age movie, a music movie.
Sure.
You know, like do we pair it with Bird? You know, Forrest Whitaker's.
Okay,
you know,
there.
Like
I never would have thought of that.
Right? Do we pair it with that kind of movie? Do we pair it with the 4:30 movie, one of my favorite recent Kevin Smith coming of age movies, you know, like that's about movies and stories and all that. Like I don't know, but I'll have to think about that, because I really enjoy the idea of movies interacting with each other.
Okay, so here's what I just.
What's your thought on it?
This is just like
I'm sorry, From Dusk Till Dawn 2, because From Dusk Till Dawn.
God, that's the worst.
From Dusk Till Dawn 2 has really innovative camera work, like the push-up shot.
What about there's a scene where in Dusk Till Dawn 2, and I don't want to get off on a tangent on this, but where the editing is so weird. Like somebody gets like thrown across the room in a hotel, and it's like they edited it, and when the person gets, there's wallpaper in the hotel room, and when they get thrown into the wall, when it cuts to them hitting the wall, it's different wallpaper.
Well, it may have come down.
Maybe it came down.
Look, so obviously, you know.
What do you think about Near Dark?
So I was going to say John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, I don't like Near Dark.
You don't like Near Dark?
I have only seen it once a long time ago.
If you
told me like, let's talk about that movie, I'd totally watch it again.
Yeah.
I like vampire movies, but I remember, is it kind of a road movie?
Yeah.
And Sinners is a movie, which may be why it's a good match.
Yeah.
Sinners is a movie about bringing everyone together to one place.
Yeah.
And how, as I said before, how fleeting that place is, and that's how special and it is, and how what happened to it is so awful. And Near Dark is about evil on the road.
Well,
and that's kind of an interesting.
I'll tell you
thing.
what my idea was, that I feel like this is more from the vampires' perspective and about how they've been together. Where it was like Sinners was.
You're saying Near Dark is more like that. Okay,
yeah,
I gotcha.
So
that's interesting.
Sinners is more about it was about the community coming together to fight the vampires, and this is more about the vampires as the community.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's sort of what I mean, you know.
I don't like most of Catherine Bigelow's movies. So that was just another one.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the greatest movie.
Well, you're allowed to like a movie and it's not the best movie. I have some garbage.
I only like the greatest movies.
I have some garbage on this rack that I love.
I know.
So that's fine.
And then here's the last one to wrap things up. Is there any actor that you think would have fit perfectly in this cast, either as maybe an additional character, or could have played one of the characters already in the movie, could have maybe played it? Would have been interesting to see their take on it.
Don't I legally, especially because of how much stuff he's doing now, and he does music movies, I mean, don't I legally have to say Timothée Chalamet?
You were going to say Pedro Pascal.
Well, he's in a lot of stuff too.
I know.
I don't know. I mean, there are people that like. I mean, this movie has so many rich sounds and voices, and the way that
Usher.
Well, James Earl Jones.
James Earl,
Like rich voice. This like when he starts singing in that scene and his voice is so deep and rich. And you've already heard him sing, you already know that, but you're feeling what everybody around is feeling when they first hear it. And the movie nails it for you. And you know, the power of the way that people can sound and everything. I don't know. Again, there's nothing jumping out at me that's missing, but you know, Ryan Coogler has already, I mean, he's assembled a lot of fascinating combinations of people. And if Delroy Lindo wasn't in the movie, I love his character. I love what he does with it and the way he's funny, even from shitting his pants in fear. I mean, like
he's like really, I think he's perfect for that part.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I can't really think. I mean, like maybe Forrest Whitaker.
Well, I mean, you can think of other actors that are very good, but I mean, when somebody is really the right person, like if they want to throw a nomination at him, I'm fine with that. You know?
I'm just trying to think like something that you think like an actor would be like, I could see that actor like could really either like I said, either could play one of the character. I don't know, but I could see him like I could see Forrest Whitaker like in a role in that. Like I don't know, it's just something about him. Like more so than I mean I know like an obvious should be like Sam Jackson because he's like in everything, but no,
well, he's legally like Timothy Chalamet. You have to consider.
But I feel like he's so. I feel like almost like if he was in the movie, I almost feel like it would take something away from it because he's such a big name.
Well, that's true. There are people that like Samuel Jackson is wonderful, but he's always Samuel L. Jackson. The same way Tom Cruise is always Tom Cruise.
Yeah, or George Clooney. You know what I mean?
Right.
George Clooney. George Clooney in Sinners, right? But I just I mean, but like I don't know, Forrest Whitaker, like that was the name that I was thinking of. If there was anybody, it was like the only person I could really think of.
I don't know. I mean, do you watch this with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Do you watch this with Inside Llewyn Davis? I mean, the Coen brothers and the music movies they've made. I mean, there's a lot of interesting combinations of
Let
things.
me tell you, actually, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou as a double feature
could be interesting.
That could be interesting.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
He's a Dapper Dan man.
But I'm a Dapper Dan man. Yeah, no, it's great. He is bona fide. It's great.
He's got prospects.
It's great.
Oh shit. But I think we pretty much covered. Is there anything else that you would? Oh, you know what? I do have to say that he shouldn't have got rid of that. Smoke shouldn't have got rid of that Mojo amulet.
Yeah, right.
He may have survived, but then of course he wouldn't have got the hold of the baby.
Well, I'm one of those people. I think the Oscars are silly until they nominate a movie that I like, and I watch them every year. And you know, Fury Road won 6 Oscars and didn't go all the way, and is still very, very exciting. Yeah, and it won the one that I thought if it wins one Oscar, it has to win sound editing. And which it won. George Miller's wife won that. Margaret Sitchell, but
did it win sound?
I think it won sound, and it won like production design, and I mean it won a lot of the below the line stuff, and it deserved it. But it wasn't as good as Spotlight, but so it didn't win Best Picture, but whatever.
I know people always talk about that like years later.
That's a great movie, but I mean, come on. Shit, what was I gonna say? It was really exciting. God damn it!
I'm sorry.
It'll come to me. That's all right. It'll come to me. Oh, I think it would be super fun.
Yes.
To see Michael B. Jordan nominated as lead actor for Smoke and Michael B. Jordan nominated as best supporting actor as Stack, because they're so distinct and he's so good and he's so great. Also, let's finish with this. There's a question you brought up before, but you haven't answered. Who's the main character of the movie that seems to intrigue you?
I think it's Sammy.
I think that's a good read. I mean, he turns into Buddy Guy. He's in every scene.
Because that's the thing about it is that as much as it's like, I think that it's easy to think that Smoke and Stack are the main characters, but because they're the power, it's a very powerful performance from both of them, or from Michael B. Jordan twice. But I mean, you think about
isn't that what the B stands for? Michael both Jordan.
Well, he had Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan.
But, that'll be easier to do the nominations.
I heard somebody say that online. I can't take credit for that.
That's still funny. Well, you didn't give them credit, so
I don't remember.
You still did the AI thing. It's fine.
But he's in the opening scene, he's in the end scene, and he's in the little epilogue. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, and I kind of feel like the fact that they felt the need to kind of bring him back, like the fact that they're showing him playing at the end, and it's him, and this kind of made me feel like it's really his
coming of age
story. Yeah, it's his coming of age and him.
Music and drinking and broads and the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just but yeah, everybody in that, I can't think of one character I mean, even the minor characters, even like I love the scene, like, and I'm trying to wrap it up because we're about to hit the 2 hour mark here. But well, I mean, we did have that bit in the beginning, but anyway. But like, even I love the scene like when he's like teaching the young girl to negotiate, to watch the truck, and
another oneer in that scene as well when there's crossing back and forth across the street and everything. Yeah, good stuff.
That and Grace and Bo, those were good characters.
Yeah,
and
a lot of good characters.
Yeah,
Amazing.
there was. I mean, there was nobody that I felt was. Everybody was just. I don't know. I thought there was nothing wasted, no bad parts. So that's my final word on Sinners.
I thought your final word was going to be just for one last time, Choctaw.
I know. I'm so bad with names. It's like, look, I am really bad. I can barely say Timothy Chalamet. I can barely say that name. I can't say who's the Irish actress whose name
Saoirse Ronan?
Yes,
that's a hard one.
We screwed that one
up.
So don't come at me for mispronouncing.
Listen, there are languages like Saoirse Ronan, Irish, Gaelic that they come at you like a challenge. Like I'm not phonetic.
What's the one? Oh yeah. A lot of the Irish what's the one that's pronounced like Siobhan, but it looks like Shabayanan or whatever.
Siobha.
Yeah. Who the hell?
Isn't that more your people?
It is my people.
My people have a lot more chuching. So
I know it's my people too, and it's like I still don't get it. But
all right, Sinners, everybody go see it.
Yes, go see Sinners.
It's that good.
It's good. Yes, support original stories.
Oh my gosh,
please,
yes.
Because don't complain about the stuff that's out there, and they're making movies about. Whatever the hell they're making.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't been into Marvel movies for quite some time, and I kind of dug Thunderbolts, but apparently they made $300 million and it's still a bomb. So who knows what this business is?
I know. I mean, I honestly I like Marvel movies, but I mean, like there has been since Endgame, it's been a little rough.
That's why finding something like Sinners, which is a big studio movie, it costs a lot of money, $90 million or something. I mean, I think that's a great. That's a great thing to see.
Well, nowadays, 90 million is not even that bad.
That's true.
200 million is where they're at. I remember, and then I got to wrap this up. I remember, hey there.
Kitty.
There's a cat in my face. I remember.
That we talked about that earlier.
Got it. I remember when they had.
I just gave you the perfect ending.
I know. You're right. When I first heard that back in the early 90s and they made Terminator 2, they're like, this movie cost $100 million. Like, what? It's like, that's the most expensive movie ever made. And now it's like all these Marvel movies are like.
I actually remember that because they said something like this movie cost $94 million.
Yeah, it was like.
But then everybody else in the articles were like, it's really 100. This is the first $100 million movie. And I was like, who cares? It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Not my money.
We should wrap it up. All right. Well, so anyway, go see Sinners. Please support original movies. Please. So then you can't complain. Anything else? Is that it?
I'm glad Story Punk is back.
Story Punk is back.
Talk to you soon.
Yes.